Alex. I'm on the sofa with Alex Mitchell, who is standing for the position of engagement at the Students' Union. So just to begin with, just tell us a little bit about yourself. So what are you studying and why are you studying to be the engagement officer?
Okay, well, I'm studying politics at uni, just BA, no attachments to it like some of the students do. And the reason I'm standing to be the engagement officer is because I think there is a serious vacuum of representation at our university that students aren't getting involved with. And that is, for me, one of my big policies is FaceTime engagement. And there is just not enough to do for students to get involved with right now, especially when we have to consider that there are 23,000 students at our university and 9,000 of them are on campus. And there is basically no representation whatsoever when we consider we've only got 5 executive officers to elect, 60 members at Union Council. We have to be doing a lot more. And that's why a lot of my policies tend to be quite proactive in this sense. And that's why I want to get involved, to really, really hammer this home.
Okay. So there's been a considerable decrease in voter turnout over the past year in regards to Union Council, so 35% from 2014 to 2013. So what makes you think that people will actually vote, and why should people care to be engaged in union politics?
I think it's very important to be engaged in union politics because it affects everything to do with your students' union. It's like the way the government tries to convince us, to vote at a national election. It's about, well, it involves how much fat is in your sausages, it involves how much tax you pay, things like that. There are things going on in the students' union that, you may want to have a say in and you may want to get involved with, but if you don't know, how on earth are you able to do that? So in that respect, I think it's really important for people to vote, because you should vote for something that you believe in. And when you do that, you will feel better for it. You will be able to get more involved, and especially if you campaign for someone at the elections, you'll get so much involved. And this is a message for really first and second years. If you get involved with a candidate this year, you will be so much more involved next year because you'll know exactly what's going on and how the whole process works. And that's why I think you should get involved, because the last thing you want is a students' union to do something that you don't like. And then when that happens, you can't really say anything because you didn't vote and you're not participating.
So since the start of the election, there's been a decrease of 35% from 20 to 13 in the number of candidates standing for positions. So what is your reaction to that, and why is it so? Does it indicate a lack of interest in union politics?
No, I just scared everyone off. No. I don't think it is a lack of people wanting to get involved and run for these positions. I spoke to a lot of the people afterwards who dropped out, and Dave Cavell was one of them who was going to run for engagement with me and Emily. And he said he was keen, he was passionate, but then after a while, he had to focus on his degree, he had to focus on things external factors that really.
So do you think that's a barrier for people running?
Yeah, potentially. Like they may think about it to begin with and go, yeah, this is a really good idea, but then afterwards, so many factors get involved. I mean, you can't pin it down to one thing, and I don't think you can especially pin it down to a lack of people being interested, because it shows that they were from the start.
So do you think we should move the elections earlier in the year or later? February is quite a busy month, especially when you're in your third year.
No, I think the elections should be around about now.
Okay.
And that is purely because with your first semester, you've got essays and exams. No, not exams for some, but I know some people do. Yeah, it's quite quick. And then this kind of period after January and the exams.
The honeymoon.
Yeah, a little bit, not too much, but it's a perfect time to hold an election really.
Okay.
And I know that afterwards, I'm going to be absolutely stressed doing my dissertation. So, but we'll see how that goes.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
So there are currently 14 sabbatical positions. Now 5 have been tested this month, as you just said. So don't you think there are too many positions? And surely this is a conflict of interest in which impedes effective union policy.
I do think there are a few too many positions, especially when you consider some of the roles that they take. I think environment is one of them. And I think that one is being scrapped as well, quite interestingly.
Would you scrap it?
I think I would, personally, and that is purely because I could fit the role or the responsibility under one of the other full-time executive officers, and I think the current exec have already done that, and it's come under the remit of the engagement officer. So it's going to get less attention, and you know, I think Jack Renard was well within his right to resign from the position so that they're able to decommission it almost. But no, I think apart from that, we need those part-time executive officers.
Okay.
I think we do, and I think we need to strengthen their roles more effectively than we are currently doing so.
Okay, so I'm just going to move on to a few questions about the position of engagement. So how has collaboration with underrepresented groups changed over the past years, and what sort of improvements are you planning on the existing collaboration?
Right. I mean,
So the underrepresented groups
yeah.
are distance learners, postgraduates, international students.
Well, obviously with the involvement of the part-time exec officers, that's significantly changed the kind of representation that they have. Distance.
So how do you plan to reach out?
Yeah, this is a really difficult question because the distance learner executive officer tends to be a distance learner. So in that respect, you've got quite complicated communications from them to the students' union to then have them represent distance learners themselves. So it is a complicated process. The thing is, what I intend to do with each individual section is with the distance learners. If I'm allowed to go into my manifesto, am I?
Yeah, just quickly so we can move on.
Okay, distance learners, 3 hours a week Skype session. They can get involved. Let me know, how they're doing and how the union can, best represent them. Postgraduates, reduce the cap from of 30 years old by the government for £10,000, like funding.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a national campaign that's got nothing to do with the union.
Yeah.
But I think this will be a campaign that a lot of mature students and postgraduates will want to get involved with. And then with the international students, I intend to strengthen the ISA and the part-time officer role, so that we can have better communication between union, part-time, and the international students.
So I'm just going to move on to now talking about some of your main manifesto points.
Yeah, sure.
So just firstly, what's your number one priority if elected? So what screams vote for Alex Mitchell?
Vote for Alex Mitchell is the £2 pint deal that I intend to implement into the students' union. Yes.
So why £2 pints? That's not engagement, is it?
It's not.
It's populism. It's pure populism.
It's not populism at all. One of the things that I think is quite interesting is I had to think, how do you get students involved in the students' union?
Alcohol?
How do you bring them in?
Is that the answer?
Yeah, partly to a degree.
Okay.
Yeah, you give them a saving, you give them what they want, you give them a process whereby they can say, yeah, my students' union is working for me. And this is one of those factors where I think this will be a good policy to achieve that.
Alright, so in order to get £2 pints, you're going to have to contest with the union and the Academy Music Group. Now this group owns the majority of the A2 academies. So how do you plan to get around that barrier?
It's obviously pressure. You can, as an executive officer, what you'll be able to do is to put pressure on these Music Academy Group or something.
Academy Music Group.
Academy Music Group. Yeah, you'll be able to put pressure on them in order to be able to implement this. It may not be, a straight away achievable process. Obviously, nothing's easy. But it's something that I definitely intend to do. Bring them involved, bring the £2 pint deal into the union diner so that it is not only from 5 till 6, not only during the election period, so that it is rolled out all day, every day, and that there are no U-turns on the process.
Okay. So given the high levels of student apathy in union politics, do you believe that students will actually turn out to vote in referendums on controversial issues? Surely you're hitting two birds with one stone. More referendums will only serve to increase more student dissatisfaction with politics.
An interesting assessment, but I would argue otherwise, just purely because I've been involved in a referendum that happened last year. It was the campaign to get more referendums on political bans that are being brought in the students' union. And what was interesting with that is that we were able to get over 1,000 votes. Now,
so how do you plan to increase that?
What does that need increasing?
Well,
there are full-time executive officers that are elected during the process with less votes than that.
If you're elected, it's your job to engage the student body.
Certainly, but in a way, providing those referendums is a good way of getting that many students involved in one particular issue. That's an amazing turnout. Absolutely fantastic for students, I think. You want me to go further? I'll try.
I'll just ask you one quick question, so just answer this in like a sentence or less. So the current Change It or Explain It system aims to encourage students to submit their ideas to help run a union. Now this is quite a proactive initiative. Now earlier you said your tweet or meet it was quite proactive. Now I believe it's quite reactive. You're wanting people to come to you to engage. How are you going to engage students?
The thing is with the tweet and meet thing is I could be walking around the square and talking to students all day, every day, and not achieve a thing with engagement. That can happen, and it's a process that may happen. The difference between setting yourself up and having people come and speak to you as a presence and a face that people are able to recognise is different, is much different, because they're able to approach you. And the tweet process means that I'm able to respond to people's questions that they're not even able to, walk out their house or walk out their halls, etc. It's using social media in a way that isn't just telling students what's happening. It's using social media as a way to ask students, well, what do you think?
Yeah, because it's very important to keep the link between the executive officer and the students' union. I think it's kind of broken down.
Certainly.
Students need to know what's going on in the union. So how do you plan to engage students through tweet and meet?
Well, what they'll be able to do is they'll be able to tweet me a question and then I'll respond. The union has advertisement systems in place which are currently quite dire, especially through Facebook, which, you see a post on the Students' Union page, you get maybe 5 or 6 likes on it, whatever, that's reached out to 5 or 6 different people. And obviously likes aren't everything, other people see it, etc., this, that and the other, but I want more people to be able to say, right, what's my union doing, what can I do, and how can I get involved with that? And that is done through the social media, through the advertisement services, through my tweet and meet, and it will just keep plugging at the idea that, you are important, and we are here to represent you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Alex.
Cheers, Alex. Thank you. Thank you very much.